The funding for this video is provided by the amazing members of my Patreon. Also contributions from viewers like you. Thank you. Yeah, I started from PBS Kids. What you gonna do? Fight me? Anyway, roll the video.
Come on, boys, get loud. 'Cause when the music starts bumping, the whole place will be jumping. It's my scene, my scene. You know what I mean. It's my scene, you know what
Hey y'all, it's Harriyanna and I'm back with another video. Hi, hello, how are you doing? My name is Harriyanna and welcome to or welcome back to the pirate ship, also known as Harry Hook's pirate ship. I am the captain. You are not my first mate. I don't got no first mate. Because you want to know why? Bring your ear closer to the speaker so you can hear me clearly. Nobody is worthy of being the first mate, but hi, hello, how are you doing? My name is Harriyanna, and I like to make content based off nostalgia and family and children's entertainment and all the issues that I find within those spaces. Now, today's video is going to be just strictly on nostalgia, at least nostalgia for me, because Empire was actually a big part of my teenhood, I'm not gonna lie. Today, I just want to sit and talk about something that just really fascinates me when it comes to this series for some reason. And also, I don't think I have found a video on this platform, or I haven't been recommended one about Empire yet. So why not I do it? I always make the videos that I would like to see. So today's video is going to be a bit more different because we're going to be talking about an adult show, but an adult show from my past. So it still fits into my niche a bit. But oftentimes when we look back on things that were popular in the past, they are still a bit popular in the present, or if it's a girl meets world situation, it's just infamous. But with Empire, I don't see anyone talk about it. And I forgot this show existed for a while. You know, until the Jussie Smollett case started to stress me and everybody else out. We're not gonna talk about that here, okay? But Empire went from being one of the top shows to one of the most forgotten. Like, y'all just sit here and look at the show's declining ratings. That honestly is so damn sad. What happened to Sugar Kara reminds me so much of what happened to Empire, because you have a series that was extremely popular at the time being, but now nobody gives a fuck about either. And today I am just gonna sit here and tell you guys why I think this happened. But before we go there, I just want to do a little bit of self-promo because it's my channel. I can do that. Yeah, alright. I have added new things to my collection at harriyannahook.com. There's a discount code on the screen right now if you guys see that. Pirate Ship 25 for 25% off your order. New fun things on the site. Okay, thank you. Now let's go back into the video. Now, I know some people have never watched Empire and don't care to, and spoiler alert, you're not missing much. And I know some of y'all are watching this not knowing what this show is, so I'm gonna sit here and give you guys the overall plot of Empire. Empire is about a black family in the music business in New York City. They own a company named Empire Entertainment. The show focuses on their hardships, their relationships, and their business, while also touching on the subject of drugs, homophobia, death of a loved one, sex, and music. In the beginning, I will give it to this show. It was great. The first season was good. Like, literally the next day at school, everyone would be talking about like that new episode of Empire. Like, even our teachers were talking about Empire with us, and we were even singing the songs. So here's a rundown on what Empire Season 1 was like. Lucius Lyon is the founder of a company, Empire Entertainment, which was built off of the money that came from selling drugs. His wife at the time, Cookie, went to jail for him because of the drugs, and she did not get out until 17 years later. And this is when the company is all big and successful. So Cookie and Lucius have 3 sons together: Andre, the CEO of Empire; Jamal, an R&B singer; and Hakeem, a rapper. Andre, the oldest, struggles a bit with bipolar disorder, and his ass be out here scamming with his wife. That's just Andre's arc in season 1. It's actually kind of comical. And when I say comical, I'm talking about the scamming stuff, because I would just be sitting there like, did you really just do that? Okay, anyway, Jamal, being the middle child, he is gay and is constantly shunned by his father for who he is, and he just wants to make music, but his dad just simply does not approve of him liking men. Like, he even tried to set Jamal up with a woman too at one point, who was played by Raven Simone. And it was honestly very, very sad. Jamal's arc in this season was just painful. That poor kid. Now, he wasn't a kid. That poor man. And then we have Hakeem, who is the youngest. He's a bitch. That's just the best way to describe him. The best way to put it is that he's just so damn annoying. Like, he always be saying the most out-of-pocket shit for no reason. He be rude as fuck to his mama. He was literally sleeping around with Naomi Campbell. And he has a rocky relationship with a singer named Tiana. Lucius has literally cut Cookie out of his life when she went to jail and formed a relationship with a woman named Anika, who, by the way, spoiler alert, gets pregnant by Hakeem later on in the show. Trust me, I want you to remember what I just said, because this is gonna come back up. And Cookie just wants to bring her family back together because she was out of their lives for so long. Like, she literally went to jail when Hakeem was like a baby, and she did not get out until he was grown. That is tragic. But Lucius is making it so hard because he's just an awful ass person who would literally do anything for money and to be on top. Literally, so many of the issues within this series can be drawn back to Lucius, who, by the way, isn't even his real name. His real name is Dwight Wright. Anyway, overall, season 1 is just a tale of how money cannot buy happiness, and we see how money is ruining this family. And then it just went downhill after that. If you ever want to watch Empire, just watch season 1. It's only about 12 episodes long, and they all run for about like 45 minutes. The first season of this series, in my opinion, is the only one that is worth watching, because, let me tell you, it don't get better. It does not get better. This show peaked at season 1, and that is not a good thing. When this show came back in season 2, it was like, it didn't feel like the same show in the sense, if that made sense. Like, in season 1 of the series, it felt more like a mini-series. And then, you know how sometimes when stuff are mini-series and then they want to bring it back and then that second season just feels off? That's what happened with this show. It was a big shift in season 2, at least in the second half of season 2. So much of this show had these big grand moments that went absolutely nowhere, or they barely went anywhere to begin with. The production team of this series realized what was bringing people back in every week to watch the show. And that was for 2 reasons. 1, the music, and 2, the shock value. These 2 things are what Empire heavily relied on for this series, because it is what got people talking about the show in the first place. And this is also what made it suffer the most as time went on. So we're going to talk about shock value first. My issue with the shock value is that things weren't making sense. Like, some things were extremely gross and weird or just stupid, and it went nowhere. Like, they would bring in random new characters every so often. The arcs barely gave anything, and then they just end up feeling like they're there to fill up space. Because I remember Becky G was in Empire for like 2 episodes, and her character went nowhere. Like, it made no sense whatsoever. And also, my other problem with the shock value is that it was ruining the characters. Everyone started to do strange ass shit that was making their characters decline at some point, where you just didn't really like anyone or didn't care for nobody in the end. Like, I'm gonna bring up the entire thing about Hakeem and Anika. Hakeem and Anika fucked, and she ended up having his baby because of that. Which was odd, because these 2 showed no kind of romantic interest in each other. Also, with Anika, she was almost his stepmother because she was engaged to his dad, Lucius. Lee Daniels, what the absolute fuck? Hey, live from the editing room. I have some more thoughts about like Anika and Hakeem, because that storyline honestly is like what did it for me, I'd say, when it comes to me falling out with this series because, as I mentioned earlier, this show would have the characters do things that like you never would have thought they would do. And I get it. Like, the purpose of Empire is that this is a show about bad people and we are invested in their lives. That's what the purpose of this series is. But what pisses me off so much about Hakeem and Anika is that Anika in season 1, you can tell she was one of the antagonists, as she was basically there to like challenge Cookie because she was engaged to her ex-husband. But Anika, for the most part, she was annoying. She was there, but she wasn't really all that much bothersome, if that makes sense. As the show continued to go on, she became more unhinged. And it was very, very concerning because when Hakeem was becoming more and more unhinged, you know, which led to the point of them ended up sleeping together, it's like Hakeem was about like 18, 19, 20 years old. I'm pretty sure he was about 19 or 20. So he's younger. Still doesn't excuse his actions, but it makes a lot more sense when he does stupid ass shit. But as time was going on, it's like Anika was like slowly starting to fall apart because, you know, she was no longer engaged to Lucius. She didn't have money like that and this and that and the third. Like, it was very uncomfortable to see like her just getting worse and worse and worse. And Anika was terrible in season 1. But in season 1, you would never get the vibe that she would try to kill somebody. You would never try to get the vibe of her sleeping with a man that's like 10 years younger than her. That was like so much of the issue that I had with her character, because I think out of everyone in this show, I think she declined the most. And also Andre, because Andre was the one that contributed to her death because she ended up killing Andre's wife. It's just, like I said, this show really just thrived off of shock value, and it got into the point where the shock value was just getting annoying and that shit was just feeling extremely out of character, and I just didn't want to sit through that no more, and I just didn't want to watch it anymore. And I feel like so many other people felt that way as well, because so much out of pocket shit would just continue to go on and on and on in this series. And they noticed this because that was what was getting Empire trending every week on Twitter and trending every week on Tumblr, like, and trending every week on Instagram. Empire was that big of a thing. And it's just irritating that it has little to no rewatch value. No one really cares to go back and look and watch it. No one even cares to, like, you know how we have shows that we just randomly start to watch? It's not even one of those either, because everyone just remembers it for those weird out-of-pocket moments. Those moments overpowered like the actual story part, the story that was actually great. It's just frustrating. I'm sorry, y'all. That Anika and Hakeem storyline just pisses me off. And also, one more thing that pissed me off about that storyline is that I don't like how it took Hakeem having a daughter for him to change his misogynistic ways. Like, I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of men expecting women to fix their misogyny. And it even starts so young. Like, unborn girls, unborn fetuses are responsible for men to become better fathers. That's just so strange to me. Why do y'all put so much of this responsibility onto women to change men? It is not a woman's job to change a man. It is not a little girl's job to change the actions of her father. Like, it's annoying. Okay, thank you. Back to the video. And then there was this weird ass threesome scene. And before anyone tries to get on me, if you want to have threesomes, that's fine. That is none of my business. You do you, boo. I am not shaming people and couples that like to have threesomes. But the problem with this is that it was a threesome scene between two people and a ghost. Huh? Like, that entire ghost storyline just was not it. Because the ghost storyline led to a murder. It was odd. You see how stupid this is, okay? And while everyone loved Cookie lying in season 1, by season 3 comes, you probably won't. That's just the truth, because she ended up becoming just as bad as Lucius from time to time. And I didn't want to root for nobody no more because everyone just got so irritated. It gotten so frustrated to the point where this show just became background noise, to the point where I just stopped watching it. Now we have to get into the music. I think this show got really burnt out when it came to creating music, because in season 1 the songs were so much better, and even season 2 just as well. And part of that is because they took more time to work on season 1. With the rest of the seasons, they came out back to back, so they didn't really have much time for writing, not as much as they did season 1 at least. The writing was awful for the story, but the writing for the music was also terrible as hell. The songs weren't even good enough for me to keep watching anymore. Like, all the songs started to sound the same. They kept recycling beats and shit. The lyrics were getting whack. The music, one of the main things that was selling this show, it got awful. Let's take Glee for example. Glee heavily relied on covers, so they didn't really have to worry about writing new songs every once in a while. Okay. I didn't watch Glee, by the way. Not a fan. Can't stand that show. But that show heavily relied on doing covers of other songs. Empire relied on original music. That's why so much of the music got terrible. Empire, in my opinion, would have been a much better show if they just taken their time with it. Hell, even shortened the season. Because I know y'all like to sit and complain about shows not having long seasons anymore, but I personally do not care. Because of what happened to Empire, I prefer shorter shows. So many episodes of this series were just filler, where nothing, not much of anything happened. They were just doing stupid shit and added extra terrible songs to take up time when they just needed to fill space. I'm sorry that I just went off track and got weird there. I just got so frustrated because the music really got that terrible. I personally think it was best for the writers if they were given less time. I personally think it's best when writers are given less time to work on something. And when I say that, this is what I mean. I mean you have less time to work on something. You're given less time. Instead of giving a 20 episode season, let's say you'll give them 10 episodes. I have read novellas that are better than ass-numbingly long novels because the story was just long enough. So many novels have this issue where they keep adding unnecessary shit to the plot in order to meet that 300 word pages that everyone so desperately wants. And that's what happened with Empire. It simply just went on for too long, and they weren't given enough time to make the show just as good as it was during season 1. And because of that, no one really cared for it anymore. Plenty of shows have their own seasons when things weren't doing all that great. Like, let's take SpongeBob for example. There's a lot of bad episodes of SpongeBob, alright? But there's also a lot of good ones. Empire has over 100 episodes. And I'd say about a good 15 of those episodes, and I mean overall episodes, not moments here and there, are actually good. That is not a good thing. More than half your catalog is awful. This is an issue. And it's not even really about half the catalog being terrible. It's just because of how much of it is terrible. Like, there's over 100 episodes of SpongeBob, but there's not only good 15 episodes of SpongeBob. Like, you get what I'm saying? Anyway, that's all I had to say for this video. I hope you guys enjoy it. I just wanted to get on here and give my little thoughts and opinions about how I feel about Lee Daniels' Empire and how nobody cares about it anymore, because it's honestly kind of tragic to see. But if you like this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you guys want to support my channel, I have donation links down below. I have Buy Me a Coffee, and I also have a Patreon. Also, I have merch like I mentioned earlier. Link to that would be down below. If you guys want another way you can support me for free, The Progenies, it's my web series. Please stream it down below. It's for free on YouTube. And another way to support me for free is just to follow me on everything at Harriyanna, HARRIYANNA. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good night.
'Cause I work hard to get to this point in my life. I'm blowing up, so don't hate, just congratulate. Powerpuff Girls,
will just blow your mind. Buttercup like villains 3 at a time. Bubbles will smile while kicking your butt, and Blossom will lead them out of their rut. Cherish and Powerpuff, 2 of a kind. Both wanna save the world before bedtime. From Townsville, Memphis, New York to LA, the Powerpuff Girls are just here to stay.